Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to Karina Lanta Mentorship. And in this video, we're going to do a quick training about mindset. Okay, so I noticed that when a lot of people write to me emails or even when we get on a one-on-one Zoom call, it doesn't even matter what income level they are, right? I've seen this with people who make very little income to people who are making $10,000, $11,000 after tax a month. And usually pretty much every single person on their call tells me their income, right? So it's not like something I have to really work out of it, but it's more about the attitude behind the income, right? So you ever hear those like fantasy stories where there's a weapon, like a mystical weapon, but only works in the hands of a so-called chosen one? And I kind of get that story now, right? Because even if you give a lot of income to people who are not worthy of receiving it, and I know this may sound really harsh, it's essentially going to be wasted. And the most prime example of this are lottery winners, right? Like lottery winners. For a lot of people, if they don't have the right skills and attitudes to learn how to handle a lot of money, they're just going to simply waste it, right? They're simply going to waste it. And so it doesn't matter what income level you are at, right? So if you're making, a long time ago, I was making $20,000 a year, which is about 1,600 a month. And, I wouldn't say a long time, about 10 years ago. But I had a certain attitude behind that income, right? I never had a woe is me. I just had this sucks. I just got to figure out how to get out of it, right? And I even hear the woe is me storyline behind the 10,000, $11,000 a month income. Um, and I'm a little bit perplexed, but then again, I'm learning from this whole YouTube channel as well, and I'm just kind of realizing certain things, and I'm just kind of like thinking, oh, okay, yeah, when people used to tell me money's not the issue, I really understand that now. Because again, when I was broke, and I've heard this about very successful people, is that many times successful people were at the edge of bankruptcy many, many times before they hit it. And then once they become successful, they have the confidence to start from zero again. Now, if I had to start from zero again, yeah, it would suck, but my mindset would not be woe is me. It would just be this sucks. How do I get out of this? Right? And let's figure it out. And that's kind of what I want you to think about no matter what level you're at, right? Whether you're making, $2,000 a month, which, it would suck to make that little money, especially if you're the only income earner in the household, which I think would not even be possible without roommates. But let's say you make uh, little money or a good amount of money, right? You have to think of yourself as that character in the fantasy epic stories that they have. I can't even think of it right now. Where there's a mystical weapon, we'll call it a lot of money or a lot of credit or a lot of capital. And if you know how to wield it, you know how to effectively slay the dragon. Okay. But too many people, this is what I've noticed, have this woe is me emotional stories, and they act like if I give them, you know, um, whatever it is that they're asking for, that they're gonna be successful. And who knows, they might be, right? I'm not gonna say it never happens, but my point is that your attitude reflects your path to success. Okay, and so one of the ways that I kind of want to demonstrate that is the difference between your typical lender and your typical borrower, right? So sometimes I purposely make mistakes so that I don't make bigger mistakes. And so once upon a time, I lent my friend money and I knew she wasn't going to pay me back, right? But she had a sob story, and because, hearing from other people, especially when you're dealing with tenants, I've heard this many times. When tenants have sob stories, it almost means 99% of the time they're not going to pay if you like extend, if you're like lenient to them on rent. That's what I've heard before. Luckily, my tenant hasn't done that to me, but I heard that from other people. And it's the same with lenders too, right? Like if you have borrowers who need to borrow money because they have a sob story, that money is going to be gone, and you could just think of it as a gift, right? So basically, I gave a $2,000 gift to my friend under the guise of a loan, and for me, it was just a learning lesson that this is a $2,000 learning lesson. Okay, so I never took it personally, but think about the typical difference in how a lender views the world versus a borrower, right? Like, you ever notice that a person who's qualifying for a mortgage, they get very emotional whether they qualify or not, right? They talk about, oh, it's my dream home, right? This is where I'm going to do X, Y, and Z once I get the home, right? And it's funny because, like, think about like your average home and what people care about. People especially care about kitchens. And the funny thing is, most people don't even cook at home; they always eat out all the time, right? If that weren't true, then most of the restaurants um, would be out of business, right? But they get emotional about it. They fantasize, oh my goodness, this is my dream home, therefore I need to borrow money, or oh my goodness, I had something happen to me, therefore I need to borrow money. Like they're very emotional, and the reason why so many people are broke is because they think of this lens, the world from this lens, right? From the emotion, rather than just thinking from the side of a lender. And if you ever notice, if you go to any downtown, you'll notice that banks have the tallest buildings. They have the tallest buildings in every single downtown in the U.S., right? And every time I drive in downtown Atlanta, I notice this huge sign with regions in it, right? And it's like, or Truist, and it's like, dang, that's a huge building. I don't have a building anywhere that size. And the reason why they can have those huge buildings and make lots and lots of money is because in many ways they're objective. They're not emotional, right? And I'm not saying like this is absolute, right? I'm just saying in general, they're much more objective, and you'll notice that when they have application processes, it's almost completely automated, especially with the big banks where you're dealing with like credit card or loan applications, and the person you're even talking to has no authority to override the algorithm that processes your application, right? And so it's all just numbers and history. So again, I've trained myself to think like a bank, and no matter what transaction I'm doing, even when I'm building this YouTube channel. Now, of course, YouTube is completely new to me, so I'm trying to build the channel, yet not kill not tire myself out doing it, right? And so that's kind of like my objective with this YouTube channel. And one of the things I'm also trying to do is find prospects who are willing to learn and find out ways, what's the most optimal way where I can get a prospect onto a forum. Someone who wants to learn is someone who's also willing to pay me money, right? Be the most objective as possible. Yet sometimes when people get on one-on-one calls with me, they get very emotional, right? They get very emotional, and I just think that's kind of weird how people get so emotional. And me, I'm just like, dude, I offer you this service, you can take it or leave it, right? Because I'm just thinking about objectively numbers and history, right? And what do I mean by history? History is essentially, for a lender, your credit profile. Did you pay your bills on time? And numbers is kind of like your income, right? Like your income and your history. That's the only two things that the lenders care about. Because if you ever go to a bank and you tell them their sob story about how you need to borrow money because you have the greatest business idea, or you need to buy your dream home, guess what? They don't care. They don't care as long as you have the numbers and your history, right? It's that simple. And if you don't meet their criteria, they're not going to lend you money. But so many people like are at on this side of the coin and then wonder why they're struggling financially, right? I'm at a situation or a point in life where I don't need your money. Like, I really don't. And I'm really surprised that I get $200 a month off of YouTube, right? I didn't even expect to make that much. I was gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna make like $20, $30. I have 1,000 subs on YouTube, but then I'm like, on my third month on YouTube, I got monetized and make $200 a month. I'm like, whoa, So I must be making really high quality content. But a lot of people, they come to me with their sob story regardless of their income level, and I'm trying to teach them how to get out of that sob story, which is to think objectively and understand how the system works. But so many people are very attached to that sob story, and then it's kind of like the lottery winner, where if you're not trained to handle that much money, you're just going to lose it. Or if you're making a good income and you don't know how to manage it well, you're going to be broke, right? And I'm not saying that that's you. And here's the thing: if it doesn't apply to you, don't get offended, right? Here's the thing: sometimes when you strike a chord, people get offended. So, for example, if I give a statistic where it's like, oh, 50%, at least 50% Americans live paycheck to paycheck, I'd be like, yeah, that's right. So even though I'm an American, I don't get offended because I'm not on that side of the fence where I'm living paycheck to paycheck. But sometimes when you tell the truth, like that's when people they don't like to hear that, right? But the point of this video is a mindset training exercise that you're gonna think objectively and not get emotional based on your situation. And if your situation sucks, your mind says, how do I get out of this? Right? How do I get out of this? Don't get so attached to what your situation is and look for paths to get out of it. Right? But even people with lots of income, I'm very surprised. And again, this is a learning lesson for me about how they make any excuse out of the boat to not do anything. Like, right? Kind of crazy. But all right, so this is a Korean Atlanta mentorship. I probably offended a few people here and there. I'll probably see the sub count go down, but I'm trying to help you, right? I'm trying to help you with the mindset training of understanding why banks have the tallest buildings in every single downtown in the US and why your average consumer is broke because they get too emotional. They think about me, rather than thinking about how do I become objective about the situation and make sure that I can get out easily, right? Just think about the numbers. Think about if you're doing business with people, what is my history with them? Have they borrowed money from me and not paid me back? Oh, I can't do business with them again, right? Think that way. Don't, if here's the thing, if you tend to lean towards here, and let's say you're a rental property owner and the tenant suckers you in with the emotional story, and then you wonder why you're not getting paid the rent, right? um, trying to do help you from basically uh, crashing into a dumpster fire. That's I don't know what other way I could phrase it, right? But yeah. So this is Korean Atlanta Mentorship. So if you're interested in joining our group, go ahead and click the Google form link below. But other than that, just a quick mindset training, and hope this was insightful for you. And many people get offended. That's just honestly the society that we live in, and then we wonder, why we're so screwed. And people, I've made videos about this in this channel. Most people don't want to be helped, right? It's kind of sad. I'm willing to help, but I'm in a position where I don't have to help you. And it's kind of like borrowing money from the banks. I don't know if you ever heard that saying that banks don't lend money to people who actually need it. Learn how the credit system works and then use it to your advantage. But too many people, they get way too emotional about their situation. You see what I'm saying? And again, when I was making $20,000 a year, yeah, it sucked. Yeah, I wanted people to help me, but I tried my best to crawl out of that. And so once I made that six-figure income, oh yeah, paying off my mortgage in about 3 to 4 years, right? Skyrocketed. Now I'm sure there are a lot of people who are doing much better than me. But here's the thing: if you can pay off a 30-year mortgage in 30 years, you're better off than most of the general public, right? So the bar is low. The bar is low. All right, well, that's it for today. Have a great day, and we'll speak next time.